What is the secret of Soylent Green? New York City in the year 2022. Nothing runs anymore. Nothing works. But the people are the same. And the people will do anything to get what they need.
This is the police.
What they need most is Soylent Green.
Soylent Green was a movie from the early 70s that dealt with a dystopian future that was supposed to have come about in the year 2022. Well, I think we're a year late right now, but I think that dystopian future is becoming very real. This is a website that shows the actual live world population as it's growing, and we're well over 8 billion people right now. The World Resources Institute is an organization that focuses primarily on the future, and they seem to be weighted heavily in the climate change department. So, of course, they would be concerned with creating a sustainable food future by 2050. And their big question is, how do we feed 10 billion people without using more land, and most important, while lowering emissions? Their brilliant ideas are summarized here. A 5-course menu of solutions for a sustainable future. The solutions are organized into a 5-course menu. Reduce growth and demand for food, increase food production, great, protect and restore natural ecosystems, increase the fish supply, and reduce GHG emissions from agriculture production. So let's get right down to the meat of it. Shift to healthier, more sustainable diets, it says. Consumption of ruminant meat is projected to rise 88% between 2010 and 2050. Beef, the most commonly consumed ruminant meat, is resource intensive to produce, requiring 20 times more land and emitting 20 times more CHGs per gram of edible protein than common plant proteins, such as beans, peas, and lentils, limiting ruminant meat consumption to 52 calories per person per day by 2050. That's a whopping 1.5 hamburgers per week. Would reduce the CHG mitigation gap by half and nearly close the land gap. Okay, enough of that. So basically they want us carnivores to live on a hamburger and a half a week. No way. And they're leaving out the single most important fact, and that is that there is no plant protein anywhere near the nutritional value of ruminant meat. And that brings us to this cheerful little article that says a think tank predicts beef and dairy industry will collapse in 11 years. Is it right? Well, that's a big question. As technology to produce meat and dairy in the lab gets better and less expensive, the beef and dairy industries will collapse by 2030. That's 6.5 years from now, according to a forecast written by think tank Rethink X. Let's read a little more. The current animal-centric way of food production will be replaced by what report authors call a food-as-software model. Under this plan, scientists would engineer food at a molecular level and upload them to databases that are accessible to food designers worldwide. The report states this can geographically spread out food production and make high-quality food that is not subject to price volatility or threats posed by weather, disease, or trade. The study predicts far-reaching economic impacts. These lab-grown foods will cost half of what the conventional prices do, if not less. Beef and dairy companies will be decimated, with revenues down 90% and about 90% of the 1.2 million U.S. jobs in these industries lost by 2035. Well, that's a pretty dystopian future they got in store for us, especially those of us that like to eat meat. What can we do about it? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. This is an agenda put forth by globalists, the likes of Bill Gates, and people that just want to make money and control everything. They want to manufacture food. How's that working out for us so far with all of their highly processed foods? Leave the meat alone. Is it going to be a challenge to feed the world population? You bet it is. Are there answers? There are. We could reclaim all that farmland and turn it back into pasture land. We could help with regenerative farming on a large scale. We could turn all that around. Or we could continue to rely on technology and build more factories and eat Franken food, which I think is the end of the human race. Unfortunately, smarter minds don't prevail, and we're stuck with what we have. So here we are. We're alive today. They want to turn our world into the vision in the movie Soylent Green.
This is the police.
What they need most is Soylent Green.
Can we stop them? Who knows? What can we do? The only thing that we can do at this point is grow our message, rely on the fact that the market will determine the future. Buy the meat, eat the meat, and the supply will be there. Don't buy the Impossible Burgers. Don't buy the processed foods, and that market will go away. We're the ones that have the control to stop this nonsense by our actions and where we put our dollars. That's all we can do to affect change. We can't demand it. We can't get it politically. But the market determines what's going to happen. And in case you didn't know, Soylent Green was the only manufactured source of food for the human race, according to the movie, and it was made from the dead bodies of human beings. And that was the secret. And that isn't too far-fetched with these lunatics that we have in charge. So on that joyous thought, my friends, take the rest of the day off and eat real meat.